Good morning, all of you. As I promised you, I would request Dr. Subramanian Swamy to come and address the talk to you again. And today, Dr. Swamy has chosen a very important topic, that is the leadership qualities of Lord Rama and what all you can see from that or understand from that. Because in this time of crisis, we need leadership. And Lord Ram has, for centuries, Ram Rajya been the ideal of what should be leadership. He's been called the Maryada Purushottam Ram. He has been ideal of what a human being or a man should be as a leader. So all those Dr. Swamy would be discussing with you today. And this is in English. So all of you who are watching this, it is on Facebook as well as YouTube. But Facebook, after a while, I will remove it because Facebook is for Hindi and English mix. This is going on the English YouTube. So all of you, please shift to the English YouTube as that's a permanent record, and you can subscribe with the like button and the bell icon below so that you get notifications. Thank you, Dr. Swamy, for coming here and agreeing to do this. So, Dr. Swamy, today's topic is leadership lessons. So, I would just like you to start off on this and guide us all through it.
Sure. Well, most of my thing has been taken by people who have already studied Valmiki and the other versions of Ramayana, such as Tulsidas and Kamban in Tamil Nadu and so on. These are the three main actually. And and then the context then was different. We had bows and arrows. Now we have atom bombs and things like that. Corona, which I don't know whether we ever had it before. But anyway, this has been sort of modernized in terms of today's situation. And when we say Jai Shri Ram or we say Ram Rajya, it has to be put in. In fact, the VHS, of which you have also been a great contributor, Ishkaran, and we have 5 points in which one of them is Ram Rajya form of governance and leadership. So, what is that? And so I've sort of culled through it, but I've taken examples from Ramayana, but I have put it in the modern language context. So, first of all, let me say, Valmiki had called Rama's leadership as Kalyana Gunas. That is, Guna is attributes. Kalyana means essentially welfare and how you help people along. That's part of leadership. And Ram was always called Maryada Purushottam, which means a man who lived by norms, values, and implemented those. And so Maryada essentially in Sanskrit only means that. Purushottam means the Uttam Purush. You see, so that was his concept. But Krishna was always called Sampurna Purushottam, and the difference is that Rama was an avatar of Vishnu, like Krishna was on this earth, but he did not know that he was an avatar. He functioned like a human being. So when Sita was kidnapped, he wept and wept and wept, and he had only one thing in mind: how to get her back. So he was a human Raja, but he was endowed with these Maryadas and these what Kalyana Gunas, and he acted according to that. So what are these? This is how I have focused my talk today. You can interrupt me if any of my concepts are too, too esoteric or whatever.
I'll just put this out there. Anybody who has to ask questions, please save your questions and ask in the end. I do not want to stop Dr. Swamy's chain of thought unless he speaks a concept which I believe for people who are not well versed might be very difficult. Only then. Otherwise, ask your questions in the end. And now I'm shifting only to the YouTube, the English YouTube. So it will not be on Facebook because it's in English and it's for people who are familiar with the English. So please join on the YouTube. I'm removing it from.
They did not ask me whether these gunas are in the present leadership. The answer is no, not one of them. So don't bother to ask that question. I'm answering it in advance to save time. Now, there are lots of popular false impressions been deliberately fostered by the pro-British writers on Ramayana. And we have absorbed it because we have been made to forcibly forget Sanskrit. In its place, English came, and through the English medium, this brainwashing has taken place. For example, Rama made Sita go through an Agni Pariksha after he won the war, which is to prove that she was pure, which is utter rubbish. There's no mention of it in Valmiki Ramayana or any of the other Ramayans. What he did do is make her walk through fire. Why? Because he knew that some such incident is going to happen where she may be parted from him. So therefore he begged Bhagwan while they were in Vanvas, both of them, that please give me some way by which she can be protected. So what he said is, you make her walk into the fire in your ashram where you're staying, and I will give you a replacement. And so the Sita that was kidnapped by Ravan was not the real Sita. And to recover that, he made her again walk through the fire so that Agni would return her. And as soon as she started walking through the fire, he also kept reciting to the Agni Bhagwan that please now send her back. So I'm saying that lots of things you might have learned, please, you got to relearn all this. I think we need the universities and the schools and all to have special lectures on Ramayana, which usually can be optional. So I start with that. Now, nor did Rama banish Sita to the forest, which is the terminology is used very commonly. What he did, he banished her because some fisherman or somebody made some nasty crack about her and all. Nothing of the kind. When he arrived with his wife from Bihar, because she was from Bihar, Sitamarhi, some people say Nepal, but doesn't matter. And from that area, Nepal was not anything but a part of India those days anyway. So when he entered Ayodhya into the palace, he said, it is traditional for us to give presents, and so let me give you a present. That is, I will never look at another woman. You are my only wife. My father has three wives or four wives, whatever. And many people do, many Rajas have, but I will not have any other wife except you. And there will be no one else in my life except you on the score. So he gave this vachan to her, and he stuck with that vachan. Even when she went away to the forest, he put a statue, an image of her next to the throne, and you conducted the official affairs with her there. And he never slept on the bed, which the two had been sleeping, but on the floor. He said, till she comes back, I will not sleep on this bed. So these things are not being told to our people, and there's a hate Rama campaign that has been going on from these Anglophiles, and I would like all this to be this brainwash to be de-washed, so to speak. So starting with that, let me say, Valmiki listed 16 gunas. Now I can't, in half an hour that you've given me, even cover 8, but I'm covering as fast as I can 8. So first thing is, it is in Sanskrit called Shaushilyam, and that means being, the one immediate word comes to my mind is being decent. Rama was of the elite, he was a Maharaja, but he would reach out to the lowest in the organization and the kingdom and treat him as his equal. He received all in the same attitude, and he never or looked down or he ill-treated any of his subordinates or servants or whatever. So this is first quality Rama had, which you do not find in most of our leaders today. You will admit that. Some people take help from you, and then once they get a high position, they forget you. I don't want to name names, but you know very well. So that's the general rule. I mean, people are very ungrateful. They don't remember. They don't remember people who helped, and they even don't recognize the people who helped. They came face to face. So this is a great quality, and I have seen in my own personal experience, there were men like Sardar Patel. Of course, I was a very young boy at that time. My father was connected with all these people because he was in government, but earlier in the freedom movement he was active. So I knew all these people treated Rajaji. They all treated me, even though I was, I think, 7, 8 years old when they were alive at that time in office. Treated me with Raja and would argue with me. Jagjeevan Ram used to live across the road from where I used to live in Delhi, and he used to come and he used to start talking and asking me questions and giving answers. So there has been a tradition in the past, but somehow I think after Mrs. Gandhi's coming, this whole thing of stratification between leader and follower has continued, and probably now it has gone to the extreme. Now, so this is something that I would emphasize a great quality in a leader. The fact that when you move amongst your juniors, your followers, your employees, you do not show any great difference between you and them and treat them equally. Second is Viryavan. That means valor, risk taking. Indians hate risk. Every time they say, never vacillate. Oh, we are great vacillators. Shall we attack China? Not attack China? Shall we be friends with America or Russia? Should we have socialism? Market economy? All kinds of doubts are all the time being expressed. Vacillation is a great quality of the present day Indian, and that's what the British wanted. You not to be able to make up your mind or anything. So, decisiveness. Rama was very decisive. Made up his mind, he won't hesitate. For example, when he came to the Tamil Nadu coast and crossed into the Rameshwaram island, and he started walking towards on the island. Island, of course, you could just go across with a small boat, and he landed in Rameshwaram island, then walked across, and it stopped in the middle, that island, and the place where it stopped is called Dhanushkodi, for a reason which happened with Rama afterwards. I'll tell you that later. But there, he saw the ocean, the Gulf of Mannar as it's called. Park Strait is on the other side, and this is on the southern side. Southern part is called the waters between Sri Lanka and India is called Gulf of Mannar. And there he stood and he said, now how do we go across? And so he decided that he would sit down in a prayer to the Raja of the ocean called Samudra Raja. And he prayed 3 days, 4 days. On the fifth day, Samudra Raja did not come up. And Rama, then being decisive, he had made up his mind, I have got to go. I'm not going to, I'm going to either this way or that way, but I am going to go across because Sita is my goal and I must bring her back. So then he decided that his Vishwamitra was his teacher. They all had, with the help, divine help, given him an arrow which was called the Agni Ban, which he was given advice, never do it because it will cause such devastation that you will never be able to recover that area. So use it very sparingly. So he pulled that out and said, I'll dry up this entire ocean and then we'll walk across. So that is why it's called Dhanush Kodi. Dhanush from the word Dhanush. So there he then pulled out his arrow and took aim. And suddenly the Raja came out of the ocean. He said, please don't do it. I'm sorry that I took you lightly and I was arrogant. But don't kill all these fish and all these other jivis that are there. So please, tell me what you want. He says, I want to go across. You tell me a way, either you part the ocean or you tell me some other way. So he said, under the water level, you will see on the ground that there is a ridge which goes all the way to Sri Lanka. But the ridge is not above the ocean level. So you must put rocks on it till it comes up and then you walk across. Where are the rocks? He said the rocks are in the ocean, on the coast of Rameshwaram. I mean, Tamil Nadu. It was those days called Ramnath. And nowadays called Ramnath. I don't know what this old name was. But there on the coast, these are rocks are just on the coast. They're just on the banks. You pick them up and bring them. So Rama sent the monkeys and brought it and put it, and one by one. Now there, you see, he never hesitated. How can monkeys help me? He said, whatever help, I've got to go. This decisiveness is the quality he did. And he never blamed anyone if anything went wrong. He did not blame Lakshman for coming after him despite his telling, don't leave Sita under any circumstance. And he didn't blame Sita for crossing the Lakshman Rekha. Never, no blame. Once it happened, it's happened. So that quality, decisiveness, finding ways, solutions, that was the second thing which we call Viryavan. Now, even when Vibhishana defected and came, entire Hanuman, then everybody was against his being taken. He said, defector, brother of Ravan, how can you take him? And he must have come because Ravan must have kicked him out. He's not come on his own thinking. He said, no, I need him in the future, and therefore I don't want anyone in Sri Lanka to think that I want to be the king of Sri Lanka after conquest. I am only coming for one objective. This is called single-pointedness, which even Arjuna was taught when he was being taught how to fire an arrow. Drona said, aim at that sparrow on that branch. And then he said, all right, you've taken aim. What do you see? He said, I see only the iris of the eye of the bird and nothing else. Then he said, you are past. That focus, so he said, I will coronate him now. There was a big uproar in his entourage. They said, how can you make him king of Sri Lanka when we are the one who's going to go? And he said, no, I want the Sri Lankan people to realize I am not coming after them. I am only coming to bring Sita. So that's why he coronated him well in advance in the battlefield itself. So this is the what they call as the valor of the Viryavan, that is the guna of having the virta and pursuing your goal with the third thing. A third value, a third leadership quality was Dharma Nyaya, which means firm resolve to protect Dharma. Even in war, there will be exceptions, but even in war, for instance, Raman came in the beginning thinking, yeah, what these fellows are to, dhoti kurta walas are coming. I mean, Ram and Lakshman had only dhoti kurta in one bonaro, thing. So he said, these people coming with monkeys, I'm going to send my army to defeat them? Don't be nuts. He told all his Rajya Sabha, it was called, I am going alone. And I'll just take my talwar and go. So Ravan, without doing puja, nothing, because without puja he will not get any extraordinary powers. So he came without doing any puja, nothing. He came on his chariot and he said, well, I want to see those buffoons. Where are they? And then he said, hey, you're going to fight with me? So then Rama took out his arrow and first broke the two wheels of his chariot. So the chariot sunk. Then the canopy was And slowly he stripped Ravan completely. And now he could have killed him because he knew he hadn't done his puja to Lord Shiva. And so he was vulnerable to. But he said, no, Ravan, Wapis jao, go back, get dressed and come back again. And with your army, don't come alone. And he sent him back. All protested. Hanuman protested, Lakshman protested. This is not the way we fight. No, no, he said. He came unarmed, thinking that we are nobodies. We have taught him a lesson. Now let him come. I want to finish him off when he is fully. That is a form of dharma. But on the other hand, he hid behind a tree and killed Bali. Now that was immoral. So Bali also, before dying, you see, falling dead, he was, he was wounded and he was in pain. He said, "Hey, तुम क्षत्रिय पुरुष हो, मर्यादा पुरुषोत्तम के नाम पर अयोध्या में जाने जाते हो. How can you do something like this? Hide behind a tree and kill me, and that to make Sugriv wear a mala so that you can distinguish between two bandars or banar jatiya. So, if you had come before me and said, let's have a duel, and I would have died at your hands, I would have died like with great satisfaction. Then in a battle, I was defeated. But you did this cowardly thing, immoral thing, and then you call yourself a Kshatriya. So then Rama said, you see, morality and reciprocity is only between two equal people. You are a niche. You stole Sugriv's wife. You captured by Tigdam. You captured his kingdom, and then you sent him away to the forest. What morality is that? So, if you are not moral, don't expect me to be moral. So, this is what is called guerrilla warfare. You see, you don't stand in front and say, okay, launch the tanks and launch your missiles. This is hit and run. So, Rama explained morality is to be exercised only between two moral persons. If one is immoral, then you got what is called as apadharma. Apadharma is when you can bluff, cheat, lie, anything, because the other side is a cheat himself, etc. So this is the thing, and this has happened in Mahabharata also, when Yudhishthira shouted the name of the son of Dronacharya, and Dronacharya heart broke, and he was gave up, threw all his weapons down, and he was easy to kill them. But what happened is that actually an elephant had died in the battle, and the elephant's name was Ashwatthama.
Ashwadhama.
So, but they knew very well that the message would be received differently. So, therefore, this question of dharma, even in battle, is very well attended. You see, very well attended. Now, very well, discharged by Rama, and that's why he's called Maryada Purushottam. Then there is a quality of leadership called Krita Yajnam, which means always be thankful to everybody who's with you, whether he's small or big. When the Ram Setu was being built, two squirrels came to him and said, "We also like to do something." So Rama said, "What will you do? You're so small." So they picked up two small pebbles and said, "We'll put like that, go on putting, along with the big rocks, and in between the spaces that are provided, so it is properly filled." So Rama then patted the two squirrels with his hand, and that's why if you look at the squirrel, it has three black stripes in the back of its. This is described in Valmiki Ramayana. So, in any place, when he accepted somebody, he treated him with great respect. He treated Vibhishana with that respect. He treated him like a king, and he made him a king too. And this way, even when it came to cremation of Ravana, he said no, he must be cremated like a king, and he gave the responsibility to Vibhishana, go and see that everyone can come and attend his cremation. He must be treated like a king. Then the fifth one is Trudha Vrataha. That means in achieving goals, don't do anything else. You don't have multiple goals. Have one goal, single pointedness. And just like in Ram Setu, he didn't care whether the whole water would be evaporated and everybody will die, all that. He said no. And that is very, very essential. And he kept his word on that. For example, he had promised the Bhils who were in Chitrakoot that he will come back at the end of 14 days before going to Ayodhya. And he told his brother Bharat, who told him, if you come even one day late, I will commit suicide. Till then, I will look after your throne. I will not sit on the throne, but I'll sit in a new ashram in Saryu, by Saryu river. But I will not sit in that seat. It will be kept for you, and I'll put your chappals there, which he did. And then if you don't come after 14 days, I'll commit suicide. I will wait for you. Got held up here, you got held up there. So Rama, was in a dilemma because he had only 2 days left for 14 years to be completed. He never thought that this Ravan episode would take place because he had reached Nasik, and it's Nasik, that the town near Pune, near Mumbai, that she was Sita was abducted by Ravan. So, but Vibhishana said that Viman which brought Sita is that Viman is with me now, and I will accompany you. So they made a landing in Chitrakoot, fulfilled that thing, and then anybody after 14 years, you will say, now first let me go to Ayodhya, get coronated, then I will come. But no, he had given his word, so he stuck to it, and he celebrated a dinner with him, and then he went to Ayodhya exactly in time. So this is keeping your promise, and this is a great quality in a leader. You make a promise, you keep it. Now you know very well how many promises are made nowadays by politicians, and they pretend as if they never made the promises afterwards. So, sixth is Rama was a Vidwan. He was a Jnani. He kept explaining to Lakshman every time. Lakshman used to get upset. For instance, Lakshman got very upset. Why are you taking the monkeys? What they can do, everybody will laugh. Ravana will finish them in one day. So he said, what do you want me to do? There's nobody else around here. So, I'm using my own language. It is not the language he spoke in. Anyway, he spoke in Sanskrit at that time. So, what he told Lakshman is, what do you want me to do? He said, tell your brother to send the Ayodhya army. It's the finest army. It has defeated Ravan in the past when Ravan came to invade Ayodhya. And so you send the army. And he'll ask him to send the army. He'll be happy to send the army. He'll be happy to know you're alive. And therefore, please do that. He said, no. When they come here, who's going to feed them? These same monkeys. What will the monkeys think? That we don't consider them as equal. And therefore, we have to bring an army from there. And on top of that, we have to feed them. and give them place to sleep and all that. So never, the concept of regional autonomy came from Ramayana. He respected, wherever he went, he respected the local customs. And this is one. Then the same thing I already explained to you, that Lakshmana said, let's go straight to Ayodhya. Why are we stopping? We can come back later with all pomp and show. He said, no, promise is a promise. So there, when this determination, he prayed to Lord, and he didn't listen to him. So he said, okay, for my objective, necessary, I will wipe out. So there are numerous examples where this single pointedness, that's very, very important. And Vidwan came because he was asked, as I told you about the army, and then at the second time, when Lakshman said, because he didn't know, what the situation of the mind is of Bharat, that now he's, got used to the throne, like our people today are, and therefore would not give back the throne if he came, maybe kill him. So he said, this Lanka, by the way, was supposed to be the most developed part of the world that time, because Kuber, Ravana's uncle, had made it so beautiful. This man had snatched it from him, Ravana. So he said, why Sita is here? I am here, I can any day bring my wife. You are here, let us live here. This is a great, wonderful country. Maybe later on we can send an army and take over Ayodhya also. So he said, then the very famous Sanskrit shloka, that nothing is more beautiful than your motherland. It is more beautiful than heaven. So, along the way, there are many examples. We kept on educating all the people around him. This is the correct way, this is the correct way. So a leader must also have this. I have only two more, I will not take much time. Rama was of the strong will, as I gave you example. Whatever he had decided to, he would do. This is another quality which you have to have. Will. Don't make up your mind fast, but make it up. Don't hesitate. 1,000 people will come and tell you, hey, what are you doing? You're mad. Are you going to rethink all that? No. You made up your mind, stick to it. I decided to go back to, I may say, quote from my own personal example, how well it turned out. I left Harvard and came to India. Everybody tried to change my mind. Then I got hell when I came to India. Then people said, at least now you will believe us and go back to Harvard. Why are you here? So, but I didn't. Today, when I look back on all my peers and say, I'm so thankful. This is somewhere where I'm the master of myself, my time, my position, and you're recognized all over the country. So the question is, the reason why the Shastras advocate and Rama advocates this determination, that you made up your mind, you will carry through, is because then you get the punya to get your rewards. So this is, and finally, Rama is known as Priya Darshanaha, which means always smiling, never angry. Even if he wants to tell somebody to correct himself, he will tell it nicely, like he used to tell Lakshman. But people came, they felt enlightened, they learned, and no matter what questions you asked, they never got upset. So this happiness, this all smiling, this is also considered in our Shastras as a guna of leadership. And these 8, there are 16, but these 8 I think are the most important. These are 8 things which I think we should all learn and be taught, because you are a leader in some level or the other. You don't have to be prime minister to be a leader. You can be leader as a teacher in a school, or a principal, or vice chancellor, or the secretary of our department. So this is what all Rama and his leadership is about. Thank you very much for the opportunity.
Thank you so much, Dr. Swamy. It was very enlightening, and a lot of people have gained a lot of knowledge on the leadership qualities and everything. And I would also, there are a lot of questions, but we are almost out of time, so I will just ask uh, one or two.
They
Dr.
can
Swamy,
send me an email. They can send me an email or through you or me.
okay, perfect, Dr. Swamy. I will ask him. But one question, Dr. Swamy, this is in my mind, so I'm sorry I'm not taking
Yes.
away your question. When you say Lord Rama let Ravana go because he had not come prepared, whereas in Mahabharata it has been very different, where Lord Krishna tells Arjun that even if Karna is without arms and this is the opportunity and you shoot the arrow, which do you think is the in the modern world, which do you think is a better way, because it's a very complex world and you have to win at all costs and you can't give your opponent multiple opportunities to come back prepared, which is what very frequently they say happened with Ghori. So that he was given
Yeah,
two chances.
forgiving.
Forgive it. So in modern context, and this is not about war because none
Yeah,
of us is fighting
good
wars,
question.
but giving
Good
your
question.
opponents opportunity after opportunity versus finishing them whenever you get the opportunity. That's the moral dilemma I wanted to ask you on.
I see. First of all, in the case of Rama, he was throughout of the view that Lakshman cutting Suparna's nose brought Ravan there. But what he did was, taking Sita away was, she was not nowhere involved in that. Okay. Second is, he was not interested in finishing of Ravan at all. He just wanted him to return Sita, allow Sita to go. So he kept that option open. Why cause almost so many dead? Because they'll be dead on both sides. And so this is I am sort of my own interpretation, but because no one has asked me this question before, so I'm improvising an answer. As far as Karna is concerned, he humiliated the Draupadi. He said after she was lost in a dice game in very vulgar way in front of everybody, take off your clothes and come and sit on my lap. And that, Draupadi was more upset with Dushasan because he grabbed her by the hair and brought her, and then he is the one who pulled the sari. But Krishna was more upset with Karna. That a poor, defenseless woman, abandoned by her own husbands, is being, humiliated on top of that. So he doesn't deserve any mercy. Okay, second, Krishna knew that Karna is a superior archer than Arjuna, which is why all this whole tale took place. And he is the half brother of Arjuna, because he was born of the Lord of Sun, because the mother of Arjuna, she was given a boon that you can call Lord Sun Lord anytime to be present before you, and you can ask him for anything. And she wanted to test whether that is so. And he appeared and he said, "What can I do for you?" She said, "No, I just want to see whether what I was told is true. Now I don't want to." He said, "I can't go without giving something. So I'll give you a baby." So that's how Karna was born. So he is born of the sun, and by what is it called, online insemination, he was produced. So therefore, Krishna felt that this man has done what no Kshatriya should do, and no matter what the humiliations he may have suffered in the past, he has to be not given any chance. And two, if he survived, Arjuna would have been dead.
So if I may, as he said, if I may take it, if your strength is so disproportionate, like Lord Rama's strength was very disproportionate to the strength of Ravan, then magnanimity
Correct.
is there. But when your strength is equal or less or slightly more, which can go either way, then Lord Krishna's lessons also have to be learned. That is why we have multiple gods. That which lesson you have to
Sure. Sure. You will not find this beauty in any other religion. I'm sorry to say, I'm being very biased in favor of Hindus, but this whole scriptures, Ramayana and Mahabharata, should be taught in schools and colleges, because they tell you how to make the discrimination. Others are all black and white. Islam is black and white, Christianity is black and white, Judaism is black and white, and even Buddhism is black and white. But Hinduism is where, there are lots of dilemmas that have to be resolved. But your mind has to be clear.
Thank you, Dr. Swamy, for all this knowledge and a lovely session. And maybe in next 7 to 10 days, I would again request you to find time and come and speak on some other extremely interesting topic where we will all gain knowledge. Thank you, sir.
This topic was suggested by you, not
every topic you suggest is maybe one or two, because we have a lot of young audience. Maybe next time something on the questions or things you taught at Harvard in general, not the economics part.
What lessons I learned at Harvard about America.
Yes. All right.
How to deal with Americans.
Thank you, sir.
Which our Prime Minister doesn't know at all.
All right, sir. Okay, sir.
Okay.
All right, sir.